In this video, we're going to be taking a look at this humidifier from the brand Hiswelle here. We're going to go through all the pros and the cons to this particular model of humidifier, help you decide if it's the right one for you, because there are both pros and cons, so let's get right to them. The first thing I want to talk about is a big pro to this humidifier, and that is the controls to it. There's two reasons that this is a big pro to me. The first is that this is an automatic humidifier, and I say that in this way. Let's start by turning it on here, and you'll see that the digital display here is going to tell you what the current humidity level is, then it will flash to what your desired humidity level is. So it's going to automatically try to take your room up to the desired humidity level and not just keep making it more and more humid like a manual humidifier will. It'll know when to tone it down a little bit to keep it at your desired humidity level. So I love that it's automatic like that. However, I will say that this has not always been accurate. When you can see there's a temperature reading and a humidity reading. And when I've taken an external measurements of both the temperature and humidity, it's not always accurate on this device. However, it still works relative. As long as you know the humidity tends to be about 5 degrees more than what it actually is, you can adjust that, but I do wish it was a little tiny bit more accurate, but I still love that it's automatic. The second thing I love about the controls here is the remote. You have two options. You have all these touch screen buttons here, but if you're further away, if you have this in your living room and you want to keep this remote over on a side table, then you have two options when you want to adjust your humidity level. This does have Wi-Fi settings as well, which is a cool feature, but not one that I personally decided to use. So you can look into that if that's something that interests you as well. But overall, love the controls to it, love that it's automatic. Huge pro to this Hiswelle humidifier here. The performance of this humidifier, I would say, is about average. It's neither a pro nor a con. I have tried better humidifiers which are able to more quickly and effectively increase the humidity of a room. And I was expecting big things considering how premium of a humidifier this is with the automatic adjustments here and also the size of it. But it fell somewhere in the middle of the pack. But if we go back to the pro side of the equation here is the tank size. Look how big this is. This is an 8-liter tank. This entire piece right here is the tank. So you can fill it up to this line there. So it's 8 liters, which equals 2.1 gallons. That's a lot of water. And what that's going to do is run it for a long time. This can run 24 hours. I've even had it run longer than that. You have a ton of water in here to disperse. This could maybe even go multiple days without needing to refill this tank here. That's a huge pro in my opinion. I hate having to refill the tank over and over again. I love that this is just fill it up and you're good to go. However, there is a con to this big tank size here, and I'm going to show you it right now. So let's turn off the humidifier for a second. So what I'm going to do is show you how you're going to refill this. You're going to take this top part off, and there is like a pump in here. So you're going to want to have a towel nearby because this is going to drip some water here. And you're going to take this entire tank with you over to a tap, a faucet, a spigot, something to fill it up. Or you can bring pitchers over, but I would take the whole tank. Now my sink has a nozzle which is flexible and can come out and fill this up really easily. But if your sink doesn't have that, it might be a little tricky to get this underneath the water to get this whole tank filled up. So you might only end up having to put it in there kind of crooked, and it might only fill up halfway, and you don't get the full capacity of this tank. So just keep that in mind is where you're going to fill this up with water, and if you have the ability to fill this entire tank to take advantage of that long run time there. So let's talk about the next feature, which I think is a pro, but there is a con kind of in the middle here. Let's turn back on it and turn on the night light feature here. And you can see just this little part is going to light up and it's going to change colors. It's on the dim side, which is good for some people. Some people would prefer it to be a little more colorful, a little brighter, and it's going to flash through, which some people might like that. There is not an option to just keep it on one solid color. I'd put that in the middle. Not quite a pro, not quite a con, depending on what your needs are. And we talked about the ease of filling already. That's a little bit of a con, but I love the large capacity. So overall, if you're looking for something with decent performance, but has great features, easy to use, has a super large tank capacity, this Hiswelle humidifier is a great option to consider. Just be aware of some of the cons we talked about. The fact that you need to have somewhere good to fill it up in order to take advantage of this tank size, and the fact that it's only mid-level as terms of performance, and the humidity and temperature indicators are not always the most accurate. So there are pros and cons to this humidifier. Overall, I do think it is a solid choice and one that should be in consideration as you choose your next humidifier.